Silly.
No.
Don't.
This person I know, don't say it, don't start saying this person I know, instead of saying there's
We're
too
live.
many cooks in the kitchen
Live.
or there's too many hands in the cookie jar, he says there's too many hands making the cookies. And we're all like, what is wrong with you?
What are you talking
I feel like
about?
That-
more
that is my
hands,
favorite.
though.
more hands
people-
making more cookies is more efficient, I think.
Yeah.
It
There's
depends
so
on
many-
how big your kitchen is.
Yeah,
How
but
many
if you-
cooks in the cookie jar?
Because I mean,
many
if you're in a
cooks in-
professional kitchen, you want as
Also-
many.
How many
No.
people does it take to talk about the Bad Batch?
Also, we are live, so welcome
Oh.
everyone.
Hello, everyone.
It's a new show where we
It's a
discuss
new show. It's a new day.
idioms.
Called
Yeah.
Doing-
semantics.
Doing well. Oh, Alex, I need the spoiler alert graphic.
Oh yeah,
I have
yeah.
to get the spoiler alert graphic. Hold on, I gotta
Oh.
upload
We
that.
also should have it on the bottom of the screen.
Before we
should,
get into
yes.
talking about anything real that's not cookies,
Mhm.
Yep.
Spoiler alert.
Hey, cookies are real.
Big
They are
spoiler.
real.
Paul, can you put
huge if
spoilers
true.
for Bad Batch and Star Wars? Otherwise, it's just spoilers.
Big spoiler energy
They need to know that it's a
here.
warning.
Okay,
spoilers.
Alex, you fix that. I'll
gonna
intro
fix
the
that.
show.
That's a good
Okay.
idea.
Maybe I'll do that. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let Your Spoilers Sideshow. We are the other Bad Batch.
We are.
We're
bad
going to be
end of
talking,
Batch.
of course, spoilers for the Bad Batch episode 8 and episode 7 through 1. I don't know. That feels weird to go backwards like that. And basically, anything that is canonical Star Wars is fair
Well,
game. Just a
it could
warning.
be spoilers for episodes 4, 5, 6, and then we go back to 1, 2, and 3, and then we go back to 7.
Right,
Oh my
much like
gosh,
a Star Trek.
spoilers.
Amy, please. Rails. Yeah.
Wow, there goes
so
Amy again.
we have classic Amiga.
Classic Amy.
We have
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I'll say we've had some it's been a mixed bag of how we've all felt about the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
I will say I am officially back in.
You're gonna say you're back in now.
I am
yeah.
back.
It's been a whole
in.
Mantel mix.
All right, so let's start. While Alex is doing the thing. So, Omega 1. That's Amy right here. Let's start. How you
Amiga.
feeling after? How you feeling about episode 8 and after episode 8?
Well, where we left off last week, remember we kind of like were calling our shots for the halfway point of the series. I definitely knew we'd be getting back to Crosshair. I'm very, very interested, especially. I won't spoil the eventual discussion that we're going to spoil, but some very notable reappearances. But with a title like Reunion, I love seeing how they apply the episode title to different things. And of course, when you get the word reunion, you know it's not just going to be Crosshair and the Bad Batch. We're going to get a
Right.
reunion of someone else and something else, and I'm very excited for what's coming next.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Male? Omelga?
Omelga.
I didn't know that we weren't gonna spoil that reunion appearance.
Oh, you can. I just
and-
we
didn't
can.
wanna-
It's
No,
spoilers,
no,
yeah.
it's
I wanna be
fine.
the
It's
first
fine.
Hold on.
No,
This is what we need first.
Spoiler alert.
Now you could say whatever you want. Once I say
Yeah.
this, now you could say whatever you want.
Boom.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
There
Fair,
you go.
fair game.
yeah, Cad Bane showing up was lit. Is that how the kids say it?
Mhm.
lit,
They are
yeah.
on the
Cool.
on the TikTok.
It was
The
on
tickety
Tweet.
talks, I think you mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm a big fan of Cad Bane, so that I haven't had a problem so far. I've liked all the episodes and I've been invested.
Mhm.
So I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
A lot
Oh,
of
we don't have nearly enough time to get into that.
Yeah, no.
True
That's a whole
story.
different show.
Automega.
On Amiga.
Okay, so because you're on the
started-
other side of the fence, so
Yeah,
you're
I
kind of waning
started
off a little bit.
Really strong. Started
Right.
waning off. Last week I was like super back in. This week I was like, okay. Like I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't like super jazzed. Last week I really, really loved it, and this
Yeah.
week I was just like, okay, I mean, I like Cad Bane, and that was cool. I like being able to see Crosshair, but I didn't get it. I feel like it was a setup for something that's gonna be great later, but it wasn't.
Right.
making that smaller.
There we go.
Thank you.
I wasn't like super jazzed. I was just like, okay, cool.
Just
A moderate
normal,
amount of jazz.
normal
Yeah.
and appropriate. Yeah.
Just a little
Like
bit of jazz.
smooth jazz or like
Yeah.
Just one jazz hand.
Coltrane.
Yeah, exactly.
You're on the clock.
Yeah, there we go.
And Beard Batch, what about you?
Yeah, I'm with Autumn. I was like coming in hot, then I was like, then I'm like, ooh, and now I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like leveling off. I'm
Yeah,
leveling
like,
off
okay.
right now. We'll see. I had a little
Yeah.
bit of excitement, but then tapered off.
And I think as someone, like, I'm still making my way through Clone Wars. I think I've seen Cad Bane in a couple of appearances. He's definitely one of the more interesting characters to me, like, that has been introduced outside of some of the clones. So seeing him in here was definitely... It it was nice. It was one of the few moments where they add in a character, and I'm like, oh, that really served the story, and it like made me excited. Like I'll be honest, like if they were to like throw in like Ahsoka to this show, I'd be like, okay, I don't really think they needed that. I think a lot of these like I don't like that they use some of these big name characters like a crutch, and I feel like
Yeah.
they've done that before, but they didn't feel
Like
that
the
way
story
with Cad
needs to
Bane.
stand on its own without having celebrity guests.
Right.
So,
Yes.
so, yeah, I
Yeah.
get what you're saying.
What
with
is
that.
this? A cameo?
But that's the thing, Paul. That's where like this because I felt like I wrote in big letters. What? I got really excited, and then I was like,
Oh,
or is this just going to be
DMX.
like every week? You know, we're going to have like the cameo of the week. Like that's what I'm worried
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Because on that note, I mean, while we're talking about Cad Bane, I'm shocked that so quickly they were like, we're over and done with Fennec Shand. Like I thought she was gonna have a little bit more to do so far. I mean, we've still got 8 episodes left, but like
True.
now that we've introduced a rival bounty hunter because Fennec Shand wasn't getting the job off the ground quickly enough for the Kaminoans, I would like to see some conflict there in that the Kaminoans have so many bounty hunters on retainer.
Yeah.
And still, I would like to see if this becomes the instance where Fennec and Boba Fett cross paths. But not disappointed about Cad Bane's appearance, but I was just like, wow, they gave Fennec Shand 1 episode and decided she didn't work out. We're calling in another guy. So I can see where it'd be like, okay, are they just going to cameo people one after the other if a single episode's plot didn't work out?
Anthony
see.
says the last season of Clone Wars had some bad episodes in there, and then it picked up, blew me away. So I'm thinking the same formula is going to happen. Could be. I mean, it seems like those are mixed reviews, so you know,
Yeah, I think
even just within the 5 of us.
Right.
And I think maybe Mel can speak to it, from watching all of it multiple times. I have a feeling Filoni tends to do that, right? Like he has these people think they're like throwaway episodes. Or I felt this way with The Mandalorian. You're like, okay, like it was a good episode. It didn't really serve the plot, and then that one very specific moment from that episode plays a huge part later down the line.
The plots do tend to like kind of go like this, and then they all come back together at the end. Like there's a lot of offshoots that you're like, okay, that was a cool like one-off, but I don't see really what it has to do with the bigger picture. But then it comes back in.
Ooh.
That would be amazing.
Ooh.
Lizzie
And
Rep
that's-
I like
says,
it, Lizzie.
LOL, what if Fennec kills Bane and that's how she got her reputation? That would be crazy.
Well, because
Crazy.
do we
That's what gets Boba to
know
be.
that the Kaminoans have hired Fennec Shand, or are we assuming?
Technically,
We're
all of
assuming.
it's an assumption because
Yes.
we could even assume that Cad Bane
Spoilers.
wasn't
Right.
hired by the Kaminoans because there
Yeah,
was no
he did
verbal.
say- Yeah,
There
he
was no
did
verbal
say.
confirmation.
But
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
could be, Fennec Shand wasn't a throwaway and wasn't just a like, hey, look, there's popular characters in the Star Wars universe. It like they're working for different people,
Yeah.
and now that Cad Bane has Omega, Fennec Shand's going to show
Right.
up to like try and get her. And
Yeah.
Kevin is correct. Dave Filoni has proven time and time again he knows
Yeah.
what he's doing.
Yeah.
See, my problem is like, I know that Dave Filoni is the man when it comes to Star Wars. Like, not only is he a huge fan, but he's great at adding to lore and building on lore. My problem is that some of these are becoming formulaic, and I got like huge vibes of this. Is it season 2? Sorry. Oh yeah. Sorry. We said spoilers for everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to spoil some Amando.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
when
let me just-
thank you.
And,
When Gideon gets the child and he's taken from him, and we get almost verbatim of Din Djarin saying like, "Oh, we need to get the child," and is like
Right.
almost in the same position as well. And it's like my brain is naturally optimistic, so I like to look at it as like it is he's showing these parallels from these different journeys across the galaxy rather than it
Right.
being like formulaic. But it is sort of hard to not,
yeah.
notice some of that.
I kind of agree with you, Steve. Like, I liked the character, and I am a fan of spaghetti western, so I did like that concept. But I do agree that sometimes he was just brought in as like, and now here's something you have to deal with. It wasn't necessarily like, I didn't always feel like he blended into the story. He was more of like a stunt. I don't know.
Here's my problem, and maybe why we all differ. I don't think I'm a critical consumer.
Yeah, that's how I was saying I was on Loki. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not a critical consumer. I'm like, I love it. Let's do this.
I think
Whatever
I
it
just
is.
watch stuff and I'm like, oh well, that wasn't my favorite, but like there were 10 other things I really liked, so I'm calling it a win.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
don't focus
Yeah.
on the.
And I did right up top on the show say like this, I love this episode and I'm back in. This is like by far like I am reaching for things not to like because I felt this was one of the most like this episode was one of the most beautiful 30 minutes of Star Wars. Also, like when they're in the Ion
Oh.
engine. Yeah, John Gino says the Kaminoans did say they'd hired a bunch of bounty hunters in the last episode, so we know they're hedging their bets. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, when they're in the engine and then just everything that's in the background, like that whole planet of Braca, like I just thought it was really cool looking.
For a location that was both equally celebrated by fans as like, hey, we recognize this, and also said like this is way too similar to the big starship yard in Rise of Skywalker and The Force Awakens, like where it just felt like we'd been there before. Taking this perspective on it did really refresh a locale that I wasn't so keen on the last week, besides the Dianoga, which, I mean, a lot of Dianogas appear in types of places like that. But yeah, the way that they refreshed the location for this episode felt really, really strong.
And Steve says, that was my first concern about the series, with all the parallels between Mondo and the Bad Batch being hunted with a special child. And then I saw someone earlier say that basically they're like, oh, after this episode, we're kind of confirming there's going to be a season 2, and that that Omega
that.
isn't
Yeah.
force sensitive. But I don't think we know any of that. I don't think any of that's kind of true. I do think he might have thought this was the final episode before the end of the season, or this was the last episode.
Oh
of the
yeah,
season.
no, this is
that
the
was
halfway
JJ
point.
Jones, and he said, never mind. He understands. Yeah, but he gets this is only the halfway
Yeah.
point, not the end of the season.
But yeah, I know, and Michael had said this from Jedi Fallen Order, and I think that's what Amy was getting at, that it is a planet that was relatively sort of like in the background. It was almost like, I think it had appeared in a novel at some point, Braca as first, and then it was sort of just like a plot point to like have all of these things where you can train and have like things you can jump over because it's all a whole trash planet. But like I think this episode or these last 2 episodes did a great job of like fleshing out this planet and showing like how seedy. Again, the best part of Star Wars is like the seedy underground and having this like what are they? The Guild, the Scrappers Guild.
The Scrappers,
The Scrappers Guild, like that's cool. Like I want way more. I want to go to the Scrappers union meetings. I want to see like what their holiday parties are like. I just really want to get involved in the Scrappers Guild. They're just so, and their masks are very much like, what's his name, Revan.
Darth Revan.
Right?
Yeah.
I looked up him. I know his name now.
I looked up that.
I know
person.
he's not canon though. He's Legends, right?
Don't remind me.
I'm asking you, Mel.
Now I have
told
to
you.
look up if Darth Revan is. I thought he was canon.
I don't know. I don't think so. Someone will tell us in a second. So
Yeah.
that's part of the beauty of being live. Well, so
Darth Revan is canon.
oh, okay, yeah. I wonder if he's a
Gosh, Paul.
Yeah.
It's
Amy,
so hard to
please,
keep
rails.
track.
Oh
It
my
is hard
gosh,
to
I
keep
know.
track.
Yes.
I was like fully in the extended universe for a long time, and then when that line got severed, I was like, now I don't know anything anymore.
Anthony says he's
Oh,
canon.
okay.
They had a vision of him in Rebels. Omar says he's canon again. Brianna says he is. So yeah, confirmation.
Perfect.
Yes.
That would be
Nice.
awesome if, well, I guess Revan's a long time ago, wouldn't show up with the Scrappers, but
Well,
it's a
so
long time ago.
I wanted to touch base on a little bit of what Amy had said about the title of the episode being Reunion, because I think the biggest reunion that we get is with Crosshair, and do they have a name yet? Like his,
There's
The
just the
elite
Elite
group.
Squad.
the
Elite
other
Squad.
bad,
The
the
mean-
other Bad Batch.
A lot more of them.
It's the meaner Bad Batch.
It's a slightly better batch, honestly.
The
No.
gross
The-
batch.
The okay batch.
It's the dumb human batch.
Ah,
That's what it is.
Whoa.
Oh,
But there's
We're
clones. There
workshopping
were
names
there were
here.
more troopers.
yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I think specifically with that, that reunion, I think that was to me what like a majority of it was, is sort of showcasing like how far Crosshair is kind of going down the rabbit hole a little bit. I'm telling you, he's on that planet now, and I thought they were going to take that chip out.
Me too.
Thought it was coming
Yeah.
But
I
I
thought they
do
were-
like that they've given him the knowledge that he has the chip and he is unfazed by it.
He doesn't care.
Chris
Still
Jimenez
Yeah,
is
because
great
I
value
mean, but
back.
if you're under the influence of the chip, you don't.
Right, but you may not have known necessarily. I mean, he may have suspected, but now there's confirmation there is a chip. Every other clone that was also there. I mean, we had Omega confirm. She said the Kaminoans put chips in all the clones. Like, so we had
Although-
that kind of, but there's human combatants and there's clones, and
Nice.
what like does that mean anything, or was that just
Yeah.
a like, no, please, we know it's not you, bad, it is
But
me, I'm
also-
bad.
He hasn't had a chance to take a beat and sit with that yet. So it's not over.
No.
He's been informed, but it doesn't mean he's processed it and decided how he feels about it. It just means
It's
he's
also,
been
though-
informed.
But it is now knowledge that he possesses.
Unless
Yeah.
he doesn't believe, like it's something that for him to decide about. Like
Yeah.
he may not believe them, because in
He
his mind
knows.
they are the enemy, they're evil, they're wrong. So he
Yeah.
could think it's just
traitors.
a trick.
Yeah.
They're
traitors.
they're traitors to the Empire, and
Yeah.
again, the power of friendship did not stop anything, right, Amy? I mean,
Nope.
once again, she tried that power of friendship stuff. I'm telling you the truth. The truth will set
Yeah.
you free. It did not.
And I like that Star Wars has decided that the power of friendship does not save you.
No,
Yeah,
you need a
at least
blast.
nothing.
You don't need
Caravan
friends.
of courage.
Friendship is not magic.
Yeah, it's the
No.
exact opposite of My Little Pony.
Oh, good. We've gotten to My Little Pony today.
Finally
Yeah,
got
finally,
it.
check that
All right, I
out.
got
Bingo.
pages for that.
No, we do see Crosshair with that group. We don't really get any more information on the rest of the Cabbage Patch, the Cabbage Batch, right? Like, I think,
That's canon now.
yeah, that's canon now. Yeah, maybe we'll get some more of them. I don't know if we will. But one thing that I'd read that I thought was really interesting is because, we see at the end when that ion engine, goes off and Crosshair kind of gets messed up a little bit, that he may be another character that we know, but like in a mask. So like he has to put a mask on, and he may be another canonical Star Wars character.
Who?
I have no idea. That's why I'm asking everyone
Oh.
else. I wouldn't know.
Oh,
Well, it
Masky
didn't
Masterton.
say in the.
I think that's his name.
You know what? Now that Alex does that, it's Masky Maskerton.
Oh, God.
What do we all bring to the show?
Oh my
You know.
God.
I bring nonsense. I have nothing.
So I mean, I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting to see. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen that happen where it's like they actively show you, a roundabout way of someone's origin, and like if Crosshair is going to just stay Crosshair, or if maybe that somehow fried his chip or something. I don't know. I still think he's bad. I still think they're going to take the chip out, and they're going to be like, oh no, it's been out for like months, dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it fried his chip because he was still insistent on getting to the shuttle and like getting on them. But yeah, I did love that moment where you just kind of saw the plan brilliantly backfire. And it was an interesting circumvent of earlier in the episode where Wrecker was teaching Omega to disarm explosives. I still think that's a skill that's going to come up for her very later. Kind of the Chekhov's bomb defusal, if you will, but seeing that kind of plot point of knowing explosives play into just the way that was animated of the jet flames, kind of not even
That looked
obviously
really great.
in his face, it would have melted his entire skin off, but being close enough and getting just a small taste of what he was absolutely prepared to do to the rest of his brethren.
Yeah, and she
Like,
asks
that
him,
was
right? She's like, he
rough.
wouldn't actually burn us, would he? And then it's just silence.
Actually,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeesh.
Hey, we
Right?
need to do a new
that Star Wars
Anakin
meme.
Padme meme with Omega.
Yeah.
He wouldn't actually burn us, right? Right?
Right?
Right?
And then that one guy just pushing all those buttons. Like, none of these stormtroopers know what... They're not stormtroopers, they're clones. I feel like none of them know what they're doing. They're just like, I think just this one. Just press a bunch of buttons and make it look like you're
It's
working.
just random order.
It's like
just
your
totally
successful
random.
cousins having a fight at the family reunion. You're like, I don't really know enough. Like, these guys are weird. They're related, but we don't see them that often,
Yeah.
and they've
Can
got
we just
beef.
get out of here?
Yeah.
Yes, Crosshair was like, bet. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought that was interesting. It was really nice to see Crosshair. I think right now he's... I mean, other than like Omega, who's the main character at the forefront, I think Crosshair's the most compelling character for me. Like, I don't...
Absolutely.
I'm happy to say I don't know where he's going.
Speaking of which, Kevin is asking, has one member of the Bad Batch stepped out as your favorite? Paul says,
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Crosshair. I think he's the
Yeah.
most compelling character so far. I
So
obviously
you're
like
considering him
love
part of the
Wrecker.
batch.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's the Cabbage Batch. So he's the leader of the Cabbage Batch, though. So
Uh-huh.
Kevin, and I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think he's like very compelling. I don't know where his story's gonna end. Like, I don't know if he's going to be around after the season or where he'll be, and I think that's the most interesting part. Where I feel like most of the Bad Batch will probably survive. Omega will survive. Like, I mean, I could be wrong, but with Crosshair, I don't have that same thought. So to me, he's my favorite character. It sounds weird to say that because he's technically a kind
I
of.
think
when we started?
he's the most compelling character. Wrecker's my favorite character,
Yeah.
most enjoyable to watch,
Mhm.
and Crosshair is the most compelling in my.
Yeah, Wrecker is great, and he's the real dad.
Yeah, he is.
I don't see Hunter as the dad here.
He's like the Uncle Joey, honestly.
Yeah.
Wrecker,
Yeah,
Yeah,
If you're picking it.
Yeah,
Wait a
I think
minute,
if
then who's Uncle Jesse?
This is important to figure out. So
So
I'll
But if we're
work on
talking, you work on that. If we're talking compelling, I actually find Echo to be one of the most compelling because he was a reg who simply has the cybernetic enhancements, and I thought I loved the story of the like implication that like, oh, we can pass him off as a cyborg or a droid. And that identity, because he is already a clone, which is considered subhuman, and then his own indignance at being compared to a droid. But after, for me, Wrecker was my favorite to start. I think it's going to continue that way, but it depends on how they handle his character now in the post. I had a brain oopsie arc. Like, I know we just had that, and he's kind of all better, and now he's palling around with Omega, and I love that. I would never let you work on a live charge, like it was just a smoke bomb. But like, I want to see a little bit more nuance from him moving forward. In the I had my brain scrambled, and I understand this, and maybe he could connect with Crosshair in that way if that happens. But I like Wrecker. I like the big goofball ones.
Yeah, Ashley Branzo says, in my opinion, Crosshair has always been jealous of Hunter being the leader. His jealousy and anger over not only being foiled but injured by the team is going to further that vendetta. Yeah. Yeah, I think all of that resentment and anger and wanting to shoot them in the face has been there a lot longer than, we've been seeing in the Bad Batch.
You're sitting around like a year ago going, you know what I'd really love to do? Just like shoot you in the face.
I mean, anyone with a sibling has probably had that
Oh, yeah.
thought once or twice.
And then it said Hunter has the best hair. So
He's like,
please,
yeah,
Jesse.
it's the chip. Right. That's what's going on. I've got a chip.
Chip
I
on
don't-
shoulder.
I don't know that I could pick a favorite.
Well, you
'Cause,
have to. We're live.
I don't have to do
No.
anything. You're not the boss of me.
I think you're my boss, actually. I'm not sure.
Just in case everyone's just getting here, I just want to remind everybody
Yeah,
if they didn't read the
spoiler
bottom,
alert.
that there's plenty of spoilers.
Yeah.
Someone said, Lizzie Rep said, I love Tech's no nonsense and his lack of social capabilities
How he
Like
explained the
when-
war.
when they're crashing, and they're
How
like,
was
"This is a
it?
problem," and he's like, "Life support works. We're fine."
He's very Tuvok for me. I kind of like him with that. He's like, yeah, it's the war. It's it's a
How
crash.
was it?
We're fine.
It was a series of missions and objectives.
Yeah.
But then,
Like-
like Wrecker with
Little
Omega is really cute, like the Uncle
Mhm.
Joey Michelle kind of relationship
Okay.
That's
there.
exactly
Yeah.
what it is.
But then, like, Hunter is kind of reluctantly taking on this fatherly, this Danny Tanner vibe.
I like how we're
And-
so insistent on making this fit.
I can't figure out Uncle Jesse at
We're
all.
too invested.
Echo. Echo is Uncle Jesse. I don't know.
There you go.
and so I don't really know that I could pick a favorite because I like different things about each of them.
Welp.
Fair.
There you go.
That part's
There's the Bad Batch and Full House comparison that you guys all came here for. And if you just
Everybody's wrong.
joined us, welcome to Let Your Spoiler Sideshow. We are talking the Bad Batch episode 8 and pretty much anything Bad Batch and honestly anything Star Wars. So if you're not caught up on
Spoilers for
every
Full House too.
Yeah,
spoilers for Full House and Fuller House.
at Fuller House.
Oh, I haven't
Wait.
seen Fuller House, so I'm
yeah,
out.
I haven't seen
Oh,
Fuller
okay.
House either. I
Yeah,
gotta.
you guys called me on that there. Yeah, I've not seen that. So,
Okay.
whew. Well, wherever you guys are watching, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, because every time you do, something really funny happens to Alex. I had nothing planned for that. My brain
I was
kind
gonna
of
say, what did
my
I
brain
do?
kind of went out there
Uh-oh.
for a second. He grows another beard hair. There you go.
There you
Looks
go.
great.
Thanks.
Now, if I may throw us back on some rails, I want to talk about my favorite Q-tip shaped aliens in the whole galaxy.
Yes.
What is up with the Kaminoans? I love them. So we got a little bit more Lama Su, who's the prime minister, and Nala Se. Basically, again, and we also got everyone's favorite Vanilla Bean Imperial Admiral Rampart. Like he doesn't have. First of all,
what a
having
name.
his name is a word, which automatically is very
He
weird.
reminds me of what Amy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, her boyfriend.
Oh, Teddy, who likes
Teddy,
the
he's like,
Pilsners.
his favorite app on his phone is Contacts.
Yeah.
That's what Rampart is.
Yeah, Admiral Rampart. But like I have to, because at this point, Lama Su was basically like, we can't delay any longer. I don't care what happens to any of these other clones. Like, I know that they're special, and Nala Se kind of wants to like hang on to them, but like, we just need Omega back. And then the fact that they're like, all right, we're gonna throw some more bounty hunters in there. Like, what is up? What do you think that they're doing? Because, like, I'm just so fascinated by them.
Well,
It's Sheev Palpatine with the hair. I'm telling you, he is putting a lot of pressure on them to get this back because she's the perfect clone.
yeah, I
cut you
feel
off.
like, the more and more I see it now, the more I'm like, yeah, Palpatine's got to be sort of like working. Maybe he's working with them because he already knows that he wants to, create Snoke versions and clones of himself.
I mean, sure, maybe, but it also seems like they have a personal interest. Like it doesn't seem to just be an outside. Oh, it's money.
Yeah.
Ashley Brienza says those Kaminoans are shady. They know that they have to protect their long necks in the end, especially if their hard work is now considered dispensable. Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's a part of it. The fact that Lama Su is at the point where it's like, okay, you can kill our big special ones. They're more trouble than they're worth. We need Omega back. But I want to know, because if she's considered the perfect clone, maybe she and maybe she doesn't have any of the weird special abilities that the Bad Batch do. Like maybe we've been just kind of circling the drain on like, wow, she's probably got powers or something. Maybe she doesn't, but maybe she's not one of these ones that's going to expire early or do all these things. Because Snoke wasn't that cool. Snoke didn't have cool flippy powers and perfect crosshair aim and giant wrecker muscles. So if she's the clone, how does it get so messed up that Snoke doesn't like have those same abilities? Like, are they trying to recreate those abilities, or is there something else that makes her perfect? Because the Bad Batches are their powers are still ultimately deviations and flaws. Right. She is lacking in that, but has taken another step. So maybe, like, I'm also in the camp that Omega maybe doesn't have any crazy superpowers. Like, there's something else about her.
This is also Ashley also said, like, JJ is talking about whether or not she might be force capable. Ashley's saying they have to protect her, whether or not she's, force capable. There's something there that they're trying to protect. So
it also could be based on their trade. I don't know if it's all they do, but making clones has been basically all we've seen from the Kaminoans.
It's a family recipe.
Yeah. That
what
maybe
else do they
there's
have?
something about her DNA or the DNA she was created from that would prevent degradation, because the like multiplicity thing, copy of a copy of a copy. It starts
the atomic half-life would break down,
right?
So we've got
maybe
Daniel and Crafter chiming in on this. Daniel saying their plan B to stay in business, and then there's Crafter saying, we're going to get to some kind of breaking point to see something like that go on.
So I had a question
Palpatine
about
knows
this
all of
comment
this.
because Crafter says a new version of the Kaminoan clone uprising. Have we already gotten a Kaminoan clone uprising?
Oh no, he's saying the new version of the Kaminoan clones will uprise.
Oh,
Will
I see.
rise
So
up, not
whatever
uprise.
new clones
Why do you
would
guys
come.
let me
Right.
talk?
No, well, because I think we'd asked that question. Anthony Burr, I see the Kaminoans getting wiped out by the end of the series.
Yeah.
That's very possible. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like they are a little in over their heads right now. Like they don't
Yeah.
You
really
see a
see
bunch
Yeah,
of
and I-
what's coming
rancors
down the line.
holding them and using it to clean out their ears. All right.
There
Q-tip
was an
people, no?
incident. I don't know if it's considered canon, but there was an incident where the Kaminoans kind of built their own little army on the side. I think it was in one of the video games. I'm sure we will get corrected immediately. But I
I'm
think there
looking it
was
up.
a
I'm gonna correct
an
you.
uprising of Kaminoan clones.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Because obviously they're not thrilled with the Empire and Admiral Rampart and Tarkin because whether or not they actually care for the clones, they care about their cloning process, and that is something that they don't want to have the Empire overtake.
Right.
That's their business.
Yeah,
But
'cause I think-
is that a
Am I
pride thing?
freezing?
a
Yeah.
little bit, just a little bit. But the
Okay.
audio's great. Yeah, John Gaiano says that was an early Battlefront game.
Oh, okay.
Battlefront. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that
It's-
would technically not be canon, but maybe they're working it back in.
Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. Yeah, Lizzie Rupp says, I like to think that Omega is a clone of someone else, not Django. I can't remember if there was a reason that Django was cloned or not. Was he? Oh, yeah, that's another good question. Was Django cloned because he was...
Because
he
he's
was, like, the
very
ultimate-
handsome.
He's very handsome. Mm-hmm.
Well, Django trained Cad Bane,
Right.
so like he's basically I think Jango Fett's meant to be like the best bounty hunter in the galaxy, and so there was already an amount of like warrior blood and
Right.
like skill
Mhm.
in his makeup, and so he was just a good candidate and was willing to let them swab his cheek a bunch of times or whatever.
Right.
What if it
He's
was a
just
little more complicated than that? I wonder.
No.
Alex, I wouldn't argue.
They are Q-tip heads, right? They just have a
Star Wars
load of them.
never.
No, never. Well, I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Never.
Especially sort of, it's nice because every time I see a new Star Wars property, I get to learn more about Star Wars that I did not know. And one of the things I think we'd asked last week is like, what happens to all these clones afterwards? And I don't know. It was just, I think someone had mentioned that they that they sort of just kind of die off, and I sort of wonder if that's
Clone
going to be.
sickness.
Yeah, clone sickness, and if that's going to be Crosshair's big, mission after whatever happens. I'm sorry, after Bad Batch. If he's like, oh, you've got to just go get rid of all of them, or like 300 them off a off a cliff, and I don't know. It's going to
wow.
be interesting.
Daniel's got a theory. Show will end with
Oh.
some tragic mass extinction event of nearly all clones, minus our heroes, including a huge betrayal murder of Kaminoans led by Tarkin. Because the point is we don't know the answer to this question that we're discussing right now. What happened to all the clones? This story could be that story.
Well, and I think if they get all of the chipless clones together
Poor chipless clones.
and they see like, oh, hey, maybe if they rescue Crosshair and like get the chip out and there hasn't been any like genuine structural change
Yeah.
in his makeup, like they're gonna see, oh no, if these clones get a hold of our chipped clones, they can take these chips out, and then we've got a highly trained army that can stand against us. Like,
Yeah.
take them out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think ultimately all of these
Now,
clones
where
that we're
did-
seeing are going to have to go.
Uh-oh.
Did-
Where
did
did
Amy-
the
Oh, there you go.
see? And this is where the am I? I don't know. It's my internet.
Yeah, you're good.
The
We can hear you.
epilogue section of Clone Wars. How far did that end? Like just like how far did that go up into? Because when we get all these different shows, I get mixed up with the timelines and stuff. But
I think
Which episode?
Clone Wars,
where did? Because I know it.
the 6th season of Clone Wars ended like right before Revenge of the Sith, and then the 7th season I think is like almost immediately after. Or
Yeah, we get
Or
some
during.
Order
During.
66 in
there's
that.
like overlap. Yeah.
So it's
During.
So yeah, so I'm wondering where, because in the last episode of Clone Wars season 7, there's that little kind of epilogue where they're like, and now the Clone Wars have ended. Like, where does like I'm just wondering if any of that dovetails into can give us like a hint of what happens.
Brianna says it has been addressed.
Oh, okay. She said, I thought in Rebels, when we meet Rex and the other clones again, he said that they basically just tossed the clones aside and found them useless. Again, that could be that could just be not a false sentence, but the way that they're sort of coping with whatever happened.
That still doesn't really, because if you take a person that has been bred to be a soldier, and then you activate a chip in their head that makes them even more soldier-like and wanting to follow good soldiers follow orders, you can't just say, okay, well, bye.
Go back to civilian life.
You're all done now, because
Have fun.
there's never been civilian life. They don't know how.
Yeah.
So they would have to dispatch.
And again, they don't have chain codes. So if that's at a point where the chain codes are still a deal,
Yeah.
I mean, and they're the Empire. They can give them chain codes, but like, they have
would
no
they?
skills other than war and
bow staff
soldiering.
skills, hunting
And fishing.
skills.
Um,
The Empire only likes clones with 6 skills.
I just like
Thank you,
Rex said
Paul.
they were rendered obsolete and let go. I don't know how.
They weren't given like severance.
There
or
was no
anything.
retirement plan for the
No.
clones. There's no clone planet that they were able to go and retire on.
They went to a clone
401k.
farm up north. Amy.
I think they'd have to dispatch of the clones in case there's children watching.
Star Wars Episode 10, Dispatch of the
They
Clones.
sent them all to a farm upstate.
Yep,
Exactly.
exactly. Where they can run free.
They can run free.
Off of this morbid subject for a second, the comment passed a little while ago, but Linda on YouTube said, I wondered what the significance of the jewel is that Omega used to wear. And it's like, yeah, we had to rip that off right from the get-go. And like, where
the
where
mind
was
gem.
that? Was that just cosmetic? Was it the mind gem?
Yeah.
Great.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The mind
I don't know.
stone is her now.
Lizzie
Yeah, no,
Rep says, I'm sure the Empire also said that Alderaan just went on vacation.
Went on vacation.
Are
On
you sure?
vacation.
I just drove past it.
This is what I'm
Pretty
thinking
sure
right
it's
here. Imperial Soylent.
Absolutely.
They sent them all to be moisture farmers on Tatooine.
Yeah, Ashley says the clones knew too much. They couldn't just be allowed to go away and live their lives. They could be used against the Empire. So I don't see them saying, okay, bye, have fun.
Yeah.
Don't cause any trouble.
Yeah.
Don't do
good.
anything she wouldn't do.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, saying again, sort of getting back to the idea that Omega is a Palpatine clone. Again, Alex, every time I see that hair now, that's all I see is
No one else has that hair but him.
That's all I see is
and,
Palp.
and her.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe who was it? Joe Lombardo threw that grenade in our chat.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
Omega is Rey's real mom.
Yeah.
Ray's real mom.
That would be an amazing retcon to be like, yeah, by the way, Jodie Comer played this character with an incredible... And I only care because Jodie Comer's in Killing Eve, and I was just like, oh, like, that's a cool cameo to have in a Star Wars film, and she did
Hold on.
basically nothing.
Spoilers for Killing Eve, everybody.
Ooh,
Gonna write that in the bottom.
so good.
Amy,
Star
we need to have
Wars,
our own
Full
spoiler show.
Fuller House, Killing Eve.
Yeah, don't even get me started on Killing Eve.
Put a
Love,
Footloose
love,
in
love
there
it.
too.
I will
my
get
God.
you started. Anyways,
This is just Doug Footloose. Yeah, I mean,
Steve Nara says he'd like to be wrong, but Omega's jewel could be the same as Nala Se's, just a cameo in tradition. I'm gonna have to go back and watch Nala Se much more closely, but yeah, it
This
could
is-
just be a cosmetic
Yeah.
cameo in.
she got a big
Thing.
one in the middle of her head. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think either way, at some point, hopefully by the end of the Bad Batch season 1, we'll get some form of an idea of what happens to all these clones, because I think that's sort of where we're gearing up. I think one of the questions I asked when we first did this show is like, okay, what does this show do for Star Wars fandom?
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be an end game. I know, same house, different door. But
Yeah.
there's got to be an end game for what the Bad Batch is doing. And I think the big nod to that is obviously Omega is something important for the future of Star Wars. But I still don't know. Like, I still don't have an idea. I'm like, okay, this is exactly the corner of the Star Wars universe that, Bad Batch is like shedding a light on. Like, to me, like, I'm still like, okay, it's really fun content, and I'm like enjoying it, like Mel said. But I'm still not like, okay, this is exactly what it's doing for Star Wars. So, I mean, does anyone have any idea more so of like what is this doing for Star Wars lore? I know that's a big question.
That is a big question. I've got
Yeah.
nothing for that.
Telling a ground level story of a very particular unique instance of galactic like in a giant war and in a system as massive as the clone generating operation. It is just a blip in the system. I mean, I think ultimately not every story has to completely change everything we know about Star Wars. And so I would like to see Disney and Lucasfilm take a little bit more of like it's a story that has a beginning, middle, end, and it doesn't have to change everything going forward. There may be fun chances to enlighten fans on new aspects, but I personally don't need this to absolutely go like a 5-season series.
To like affect the overall lore. It could
Yeah.
just be a story that fits into the lore.
Yeah, just a story we've never seen before. And because
Yeah.
honestly, with the movies, TV shows, and comics, as we've seen here already, I have an extremely difficult time keeping track of the new timeline. Like, I don't know what's canon, what's not, what happens when, and what things are kind of overlapping one another, and it's difficult. So I would love more series that are just kind of standalone. They enlighten you about a very specific subject of Star Wars, and they exist within that pocket of the universe.
Yeah.
So Steve says he thinks it's filling the holes around the rise of Empire, and Ashley says, I think it's going to shed light on what happened to the clones becoming obsolete versus stormtrooper recruitment, as well as show us how the Empire became so involved in cloning.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I also again, I may have just missed it in the last episode or previous episodes. Is this the first time that the clones have been in like the all-white stormtrooper?
No.
Because I haven't noticed it before, but I noticed it like very definitively in this
Not the-
episode. But like just the normal like foot soldiers. This is the first time I've noticed the clones like completely devoid of any rank or anything, any color at all, and it's just like the white armor that we know of stormtroopers.
No, they've had it, but just not the stormtroopers that we know. They just had
Yeah,
the
not the
stormtrooper
helmet,
with
but for whatever reason, it really stuck out to me. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the first time, specifically when they're like hiding in the unit of 4 people walk by them. I was like, it's the
Yeah.
first time
Get
I've
me
noticed
started.
them in just. Oh, are we going
Can
to
we have
Alex's annoyed corner?
Alex's annoyed corner.
We need a little thing on the screen for that.
Yeah, we need something for that. Oh my God! I mean, it's not like they were really hiding. It was like they were like right here. Like, where are they? I don't see anybody. They were. I mean, do they not check their corners? Do they not
didn't,
look
like-
left and right? This is why the Empire loses.
Omega should have been captured in episode 3 when she was hiding in the ceiling of the ship when those guys got. They don't check, and you know what? As a writer, I understand the need for just going. Okay, you need to have a near miss that like doesn't seem super plausible. But yeah, I mean, we've had so many instances of people just not checking hard enough.
I mean, but these are soldiers. Their whole thing is like they go this. One guy looks this way, the other guy looks this way, while the other guy goes forward. I mean, it was dry, especially because they were lit. They
It's
were
like
lit
asking
so
one of my
well.
kids to get the ketchup in the
Yeah,
fridge.
I can't see it.
Couldn't find
Where
it.
is
No idea where it is.
So the clone
Okay.
troopers need a
We have
mom.
a fridge?
Yeah.
Oh,
Anyways.
it's too much.
All right, Alex's annoyed corner is over. That was my one thing.
Thank you.
Do like
Thank you.
Leo brings up a good point. He says we are seeing most of the citizens. Most of the citizens are okay with Palpatine declaring himself emperor.
Yeah.
I think that has been like my favorite part of this show.
Yeah, they've
has
shown
been
little
like
bits of,
the
like-
slow rise of the empire and how like I'm gonna say like 85. This is a big number. I don't know. Please don't hold me to this Star Wars math. But like 85% of the people in these places are kind of happy about this because they're like,
Yeah.
okay, now we have one money unit.
Yeah,
We know where we're getting our food from, and we
Yeah.
know where our taxes are going. Like,
That
Also
is-
a sense
and-
of security.
And I think that was such a great thing that we got to see. And I know I've mentioned this before. I think when back in the days of Clubhouse, how Palpatine played such a great and I say great as in like he did it well. It was bad, but he did it well.
Yeah.
A great strategy by stymieing the Republic and the Senate constantly, and basically fantasy filibustering them, and so they couldn't do anything for the people, and it was just this mass conglomerate of star systems. And when the Senate fell, they were like, well, yeah, the Senate didn't do anything for the normal guy anyways, so this empire sounds pretty cool. Like they're gonna like finally something's unified. And that's how, I mean, it's insidious, dare I say. But that's what he did in kind of destroying the people's trust in that. So obviously they would very easily go over to the empire.
I was surprised about Rafa and
Trace.
like, because in their episodes they were very like the Republic does nothing for us, but then you see in the last episode that they were firmly rebellious. But sorry, I don't want to take it too much.
Rebellatory.
Rebellatory.
That's it.
Yeah.
Rebel.
Rebel.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just think it's very interesting to see sort of like what this show is going to do for the entirety of Star Wars, whatever it ends up being. But sort of shifting towards one of the things we wanted to talk about before we wrap is we already kind of really got into Cad Bane earlier, but sort of talking about Cad Bane now. I have a question for everyone on the panel here that I also will answer, and I can also answer first if you'd like. But do you like these like one-shot cameos, like the Cad Bane, the Fennec Shand? Like if we get, if we had Ahsoka, if we had something like that, do you like them, or would you rather just like all Bad Batch all the time?
I like them a lot. They're a lot of fun, but I don't want the story to depend on them to be compelling. They're a lot of fun. Like they're fun fan service, and it's like, yay, look who it is. But I don't want that to be the only reason why I, enjoyed the episode.
Right. I think it is fun to see how many of these characters are interconnected, and in a show that is so short and already is doing the massive heavy lifting of making you trying to make the audiences care about Omega, a character who we still know nothing about. It's a condensed time. I think they will necessarily rely on familiar names and faces, given that he now has physical possession of her. Cad Bane is already defying the one-shot rule. He's not going to be a one-time appearance, but I hope that his appearance and his temporary success, because I am sure it's only a temporary success currently, doesn't mean then characters like Fennec Shand become relegated to one-shot cameos. Because if, as you mentioned earlier, if they threw in Ahsoka at this point, I'd be like, all right, you're just kind of stuffing with names of like, hey, you like this guy and this guy too. Love Ahsoka, don't get me wrong, but there's a certain degree of like, we already know this is so connected, and we had Depa Billaba and we had Caleb Doom and we had all these things, but at some point just throwing in names, it just feels like popcorn, and it's like, okay, when am I gonna eat something substantial?
And John is saying, the show isn't over. We don't know if they're going to see them again. They may not
We're
be
only halfway through.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah. And Leo's same thing. He doesn't want the guest character. He just wants it to be. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Cad Bane is going to be much more central to the story than maybe we will see with like Fennec Shand, because while they are in the same business, bless you.
Bless you.
You're doing a show, Amy.
Okay,
Please.
I'm sorry. I muted my mic. Did it mute, or did you just hear me sneeze
No, we
into the
heard
microphone?
all of that.
No, we didn't hear it.
No, we didn't hear
Okay,
it.
fine. You just saw it.
I got away with one earlier today, too.
The reason that I think I'd like to see more Cad Bane than I would like Fennec Shand or Boba is because we've gotten them in live action as well, and we've gotten so much more of them. And I think maybe letting Cad Bane stretch his weird little legs would be good for the character in general. But again, I don't know, and I'm also not 100% sure, because I think, and maybe Mel, I'll let you explain this a little bit better. But it seems to be that they're setting up like a Cad Bane versus Boba Fett thing that was supposed to happen and never happened. Is that right?
There's speculation that yes, there was supposed to be, and I don't know a ton about it, but there was supposed to be an arc in Clone Wars where Boba Fett is trying to rescue a kid from Cad Bane, and they do the like Yeah, the duel in the streets, you know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whoa.
Mhm.
And Cad Bane. I was a goof on New It Sideshow this morning because I hadn't had coffee, and now it's the end of the day, and I'm a goof again. I'm sorry, but
Professional bookends.
Love it.
Cad Bane shoots his helmet, and like that's where the dent came from,
Right.
and it was supposed to explain that,
Okay.
and it didn't happen. But apparently, there's like an animated storyboards where they had the arc planned out, and so it's there's speculation that that is kind of where this is going, that they'll team up with Boba Fett to go get Omega, but that seems a little too Mandalorian
Yeah.
because they already did that.
Yeah.
Like Boba Fett teamed up with
Boba Fett,
Yeah.
professional child rescuer.
right.
Daniel
But-
Douglas, Daniel Douglas just said they recorded the dialogue and had the animatics made for
Right.
Boba versus Bane, never completed the episode.
Nice.
in answer to the question of cameos and whether we like them or not, I'm all for them because I like the fan service and I like getting to see little glimpses of these characters that we love in other things, but only if it makes sense. Like Bo-Katan in Mando made sense to me, and Bib Fortuna in Bad Batch made sense to me. But
On that point, Mel,
Ahsoka,
I think Crafter
Right.
agrees with you wholeheartedly, saying the
cameos have
cameos
made
have all
sense.
made sense within the story and filled logical roles. So I like how they're adding them in. Totally.
I don't think Ahsoka made a ton of sense in Mando, so I wasn't a huge fan of that, even though I do love Ahsoka so much. And so like Amy said, if she just shows up to show up,
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. But when they serve a purpose and they move the story along and it makes sense for them to be in the story, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and when we get, and they don't all have to be the bounty hunters and the Jedi as well. Like when we get cameos like Cut and Sue, like that was really cool. They pulled that one early from episode 2, I believe, just because it was like, hey, there's another clone out here who like we should see what's up with this chip, and that felt very like them having that knowledge and such. But yeah, they don't always also have to be the big, most colorful cameos. I get that those get the biggest fan reaction, but I like those ones of, hey, like this happened in another episode in another series and has relation, but it isn't like the A-listers of Star Wars.
Excuse me, time out. Steve says, I think Ahsoka was there mainly to set up her own series chasing down Thrawn, and like, oh yes, please. Give me the Ahsoka and Thrawn series. I will have it. Give it to
me.
Yes.
Nom, nom,
Like
nom,
catch
nom,
me if
nom,
you
nom,
can.
nom.
But it was very interesting to use an entire episode of Mando, if I might take it off of a slightly different track. We'll get back on the rails, but yeah, to use a whole episode to be like, oh, here's Ahsoka, and she's not going to really help out Mando and Grogu, and catch her later in the fall in this show. Like it, whereas Boba Fett and Fennec Shan's spinoff felt like, okay, they fulfill their narrative purpose, and they've now exited to take back kind of Jabba's palace and stuff. Like that felt good, but yeah, the Ahsoka's here because we need to let you know that she's doing a series. We can't just drop a show. Is very, so that's how I prefer those cameos to be treated. And I wouldn't say Boba and Mando is a cameo. He is an actual character in the show. So it's a weird balance with the Star Wars universe.
Always. And yeah, I don't like when, like a show will just shoehorn or like kind of advertise for another show within it. Which brings me, if you'd like, Let Your Spoiler Side show on Friday. We are covering Loki at 4 p.m. We're talking episode 3 of Loki. Amy, you'll be there for that one. Right?
I will do my best.
You got to catch up. I mean, not that you haven't read them, but you've got to watch. Not that you haven't watched them, but you got to watch everything twice and then the third episode again.
Yeah.
Just to catch up. And the Let Your Spoiler Side show to make sure
real quick.
If you want a list of all the Thor Easter eggs that you guys missed in the last episodes of Loki, I could do that.
Yeah.
The TVA appeared first in Thor comics, created by Walter Simonson, and I'll keep my fun facts list ready to go for Friday.
Stay tuned after this show for a preview of what you might get.
Where Amy chases down Thrawn in a different live show.
Oh, I thought you were going to say for a brand new episode of King of Queens.
Spoilers for King of Queens.
Everywhere
now.
you
Oh, I'm
look.
sorry. Oh, jeez. Well, I will say one of the coolest things that I've seen from this show that I know it happened on an episode of Clone Wars, but I can't remember it. I'm kind of watching it so, periodically, or not periodically. I don't know. Amy will tell me how to say
Words.
the
Not
things better.
consistently.
Not consistently. Thank you.
Inconsistently.
Inconsistent.
It's been a hell of a week. So,
Yeah.
Lemon, it's Monday.
It's deconsistently.
Deconsistently. Thank you, everyone, word scientists. I am.
True.
Thank
you
you.
are a transition scientist. Thanks for
I
everything.
I like the first person POV. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That felt like very early, like Battlefront games. I'm sorry that I had played like for the PlayStation 2 and stuff that you could switch your cam to that as well. Then I guess that also happened in an episode of Rebels. I haven't seen it. I have not finished Rebels, but that very like dramatic and intense first person POV where they're dragging Hunter, like that was very intense, and then it sort of switches to him, and I was like, this episode, like I said, it ended. I think it ended really well, and kind of was the first episode since the first one to make me really excited for the next episode, even more so than last week. Sorry, hot take, but
Whoa.
yeah,
No need to get controversial here, Paul.
I know. Well, I am a transition scientist.
Yeah, the first person perspective shift made it seem much more urgent, and I liked the helplessness of the view, and you as the viewer kind of didn't get the whole. We had the shot of like we've got them on the run, and then just this really claustrophobic view, where and I saw a lot of people over the course of this chat saying they thought that could have been it for Hunter, which would have been real interesting if they just dropped him at the halfway point.
Yeah, I was not expecting him to take that bullet to the chest there.
Wrecker's like, I'm your dad now.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
So good.
You can eat
Omega
all the
has
popcorn
5
you
dads.
want. Everywhere you look.
But yeah, they were saying that the first person heads up display was from Republic Commando. And
Great.
the Gregor episode
Gregor.
of the Clone Wars. Gregor.
Sorry.
Gregor.
But yeah, I mean, so I think that's the entire episode. Obviously, we didn't, look at every nook and cranny of episode 8, but I think we did a great job, everyone. Well done, of talking about the thing that I knew the least about, which was Cad Bane. So we did also ask in our spoiler group for the for Star Wars, The Bad Batch. Alex, can you pull up that short link real fast?
Oh, I think I will.
Boom.
Pull that
Side.show/SW spoilers, and you can join the our Let Your Spoiler Side show group for Star Wars. And now it changes with every show. So like
So you jump out before you watch the episode, and you
Boom.
jump back in once you've watched it, and we let you back in and out as many times as you need, so that you can keep yourself from spoilers and then discuss spoilers as
Revolving door
needed.
policy.
Yep.
Revolving door policy. So I'd ask people
Yes.
in that group what they thought. What were their favorite moments? What are some of their theories? And of course, what did they think of Cad Bane? So I pulled a couple of them. Here we've got Shannon, who was on our Shannon, who was on Cobbled Cosplay
Oh yeah.
with us, and he said, "I've been waiting for Bane to show up." Cad Bane. Not Bane from Sense
Yeah,
Person.
you're gonna be waiting
So-
a long time.
Yeah, I've been waiting a long time for that Bane. I've been waiting for Bane to show up ever since Fennec was teased in the trailers. I figured this is where we get some closure to the Bounty Hunters arc from Clone Wars. Ventress for Season 2. Next, we have Brianna Marie DeYoung, who I believe is in the chats here. I literally freaked out. I jumped out of my seat and screamed. I don't swear, but I was like, holy bleeping shirt balls. My heart was pumping and I had chills. More than I did when Luke and Ahsoka showed up in Mandalorian. Wow. I was so giddy. Yeah, spoilers. Give me more Cad Bane. I agree. And last, we have someone who was on one side of the fence and the other side of the fence is now just properly sitting on a fence like Dwight Schrute. So I love Dustin Barton says, I love the first episode and the last two. I just feel like they took too long in between to get to more of the meat of the story. I didn't feel like much was happening other than small character moments. Some were big, but some others felt kind of off. I felt like they could have taken an episode or two out of the pacing of the season, and that it would have improved it. However, I feel like now I can see why they did that. It is getting better. I am hoping the quest to rescue Omega is longer than an episode or two. I loved the introduction of Cad Bane, and I think the Bad Batch is going to try and recruit some bounty hunters of their own to stop Bane. I feel like Bane and Crosshair don't make it out of the season alive.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay, so it's not Boba Fett that helps them save Omega. It's Ventress. I'd be down for that.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I have to say though, while we're talking about Star Wars names and how what I was like, Rampart is just like a word. Cad Bane is literally like sleazy dude who is an annoyance. Like he is a cad and he is the bane of people's existence.
Yeah.
It's just like
It fits.
You know what you
Cad
get right up
Bane.
front with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what it says on the tin.
But wait,
Yeah, exactly.
before we get too crazy, because I'm just thinking, you made me read Dark Disciple. Is this a Saj
did.
thing possible? In
I
the
don't
timeline?
know
'Cause
where
that's
Dark
canon.
Disciple takes spoilers. Everyone,
Spoilers.
spoilers.
I feel like it's before this.
Really?
Yeah. Because Quinlan Voss was around, no? I mean,
Yeah.
the whole Jedi
He's the guy from Solo.
Oh, you're right.
the
You're
Jedi
right.
Order was still intact at the time.
Dark Disciple takes place roughly 6 months before Revenge of the Sith.
See, now everyone
So-
in the chats that said Ventress, everyone who said, and you saying Ventress, got my heart aflutter, and then I just immediately crashed.
I
back
have
into
to
myself.
go now.
Paul,
I
you were
have to
thinking
go.
of Dryden Voss
Oh,
from
Dryden
Solo.
Voss. Oh, is there any
But
relation?
Quinlan Voss is actually I don't know.
And are they related to the
don't
people who
think
make
there's
the
any
water?
I don't think so.
Yes,
Is it of the Voss water fortune and estate?
that is true. That is 100% right.
Wonderful. Well, everyone, thank you so much for letting us spoil the Bad Batch episode 8 and pretty much what did we
Yeah.
also get? Killing Eve. We also got Full House.
Full
We didn't
House,
touch Fuller
Fuller
House though,
House.
so we
King of
didn't go into
Queens.
Fuller House. Yes, King of Queens and
The Mandalorian.
For no
The
reason,
Mandalorian, of
footloose.
course. So thank you all so very much. We'll see you tomorrow. We've got a really fun episode of Unsealed and Revealed where we're taking a look at the 6-scale Michael Myers by a little company called Sideshow. It's us. That's us. So
Not the wreck.
I'll be there
He's
tomorrow.
got a
with-
telephone cord.
He does. It's for murder stuff.
Sorry, I love that figure.
For murder.
For doing murders.
Just murder
Doing
purposes.
For
murder
murder. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you hopefully on either tomorrow. We'll see you on Friday for our Loki episode. That'll be great. We'll all have watched it 10 times by then because I'm very
Okay.
excited, and I have
100%.
all the theories. And I have
Yes.
not had Amy here to tell me that I'm dumb and wrong.
And
Just,
don't
just
don't
everyone else here has
forget,
told me I'm dumb and wrong.
Paul, I don't think you're wrong.
Ha!
Ah,
Classic Mel
Zing.
Zinger.
Also, hey, 9 a.m. every day, Monday to Friday, new at Sideshow.
Yep, yep,
Yep.
yep.
That's
Make
a
sure you
good
watch
show.
it because good
And also with
soldiers
you.
follow orders.
Monday, Tuesday, Friday,
Boy,
Wednesday. I couldn't think of. There's no day that begins with a B.
boy,
And also,
booyah.
Speaking of
BYA,
wrapping up the
booyah.
show, thank you all so much, and don't forget to let your geek side show. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
The
guys.
Vampire
May
Slayer.
the
There was
force
no
be with you.
reference.
Am I ending the show or are you ending the show?
No, I just had
Somebody
to get a
should push
Buffy
the
the.
button.
I'm ending it, but I just want
If
to get a
you're
Buffy
ending
the
the show,
Vampire.
then